In part one, I told you about John, freed in the Texas of Juneteenth. In part two, about Martha, enslaved a few miles away and never freed on Juneteenth at all. This is where the two lines come together. The Texas freed man and the stateless woman built one family, and that family runs straight down to me. Start with their children, because that's the part that turns history into something I'm still carrying. John and Martha had at least 6 sons. Martha died in September 1903, and with about 18 months, John died too. The records bracketed tight. A court appointed a new guardian over those 605, and a man isn't replaced as guardian of his own children while he's alive. By 1910, 3 of them, Joe Gibson and my great-grandfather, John Jr., he were living in the household of a love relative named Ozark Love, listed as cousins, taken in by their dead mother's kin. The Love family, whose name became the people who once owned them, was the family that caught these orphans when they fell. That surname was a record of bondage. It became a record who showed my great-grandfather was about 13 in that household. The census says he had no schooling and could not read or write. That's the cost of being an orphan freedman child in this place and time. He had no birth certificate, no schooling, no literacy to correct the record. The system that wouldn't claim his mother as a citizen never taught her son to write his own name.
And yet the line continued. John Jr. married Celia Thompson, herself a Chickasaw freedman from another Dawes family. Their son was my grandfather, Marvin Whitson, born in 1928 in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. Marvin is the hinge of this whole story, because Marvin is the one who left.
Marvin was born in Oklahoma, moved south to Hugo as a boy, and then sometime between 1942 and 1950, he did what millions of Black Americans did. He went west. He turns up in the 1950 census in Los Angeles. That's the Great Migration, and my own grandfather is in it. He lived through the Depression, the war, that migration, the Civil Rights era, all the way to 2006.
Let me hold to the rule of this channel. The death date bracket, the orphaning, the placement with the Loves, my great-grandfather's electricity, Marvin's birth and his move to Los Angeles, all proven, written in the records. The argument I'm about to make is just not a record. I'll always tell you which is which. The records are the authority here.
So trace the whole arc. 2 people enslaved in 2 systems, one freed by Juneteenth, one freed a year later by a treaty that refused to make her a citizen. Their orphaned sons raised by relatives unschooled, a grandson who carried the family out of Oklahoma to California. And then me reading these records back 160 years later from across an ocean. Here's what I think Juneteenth really celebrates. Not a finish line. Emancipation set my family in motion, but it scattered them out of the South, away from the land where they had numbers, history, and each other. My grandfather going to Los Angeles was survival, and dispersal is the opposite of power. But the ground is still there. The records prove we were.
So when I say Happy Juneteenth, I don't mean a thing that finished in 1865. I mean the start of a long, unfinished movement that ran my family across a continent, and that it's my generation's turn to decide what to do with. If UNET scattered us, this is where the real work begins.